Before Egypt raised its pyramids, before China built its wall, and long before Greece dreamed of gods on Olympus, there was Sumer,
a forgotten realm buried deep beneath layers of time and silence.
It was here, between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, on the dry, cracked land of ancient Mesopotamia, that the first great experiment of civilization was born.
They called themselves the Sumerians. No one knows exactly where they came from.
They appeared suddenly in history, like a spark in the dark.
By 3000 BCE, they had already built monumental cities, invented writing, created schools, formed complex governments, and mapped the stars.
But what drove these people? Why here? Why then? And perhaps more curiously, why did they vanish without a trace, leaving behind only clay tablets and towering ruins that whisper across the sands?
The cities of Sumer were unlike anything the world had ever seen.
At the heart of each stood a ziggurat, an enormous stepped temple rising toward the heavens.
These structures weren't just symbols of religious devotion.
To the Sumerians, they were bridges between earth and the divine.
From these heights, priests observed the stars, interpreted omens, and led rituals for gods who demanded both fear and devotion.
Time itself was measured by them, literally. It was the Sumerians who gave us the 60-minute hour and the 12-month year. Through cuneiform, wedge-shaped impressions pressed into soft clay, they created the first writing system.
But what did they write about? Laws, trade, medicine, and myths. Tales of gods descending from the sky, of a great flood sent to punish mankind, of a man named Gilgamesh who searched for eternal life. These stories echo through history. But were they myths or memories?
In Sumerian mythology, one name appears again and again: the Anunnaki. These were the celestial beings said to have come from the heavens to shape and rule the world. They weren't merely spirits or metaphors. The tablets describe them in strangely literal ways, beings of great stature, with wings, and sometimes even helmets and tools. The Sumerians believed these gods gave humans knowledge, agriculture, laws, writing. Were these simply personifications of nature and learning, or something more? Some modern theories suggest the Anunnaki may not have been gods at all, but extraterrestrial visitors. A wild idea? Perhaps. Yet these same beings appear again and again in Akkadian texts, Babylonian tablets, even distant cultures like the Maya or Egyptians. The same archetypes, the same myths, different names, different continents. Could the Anunnaki be more than a legend? Were they part of a forgotten truth, edited, diluted, and passed down through time?
And then the Sumerians disappeared. Not in an instant, but like a fading breath. Around 2000 BCE, their cities began to fall. Invaders came, first the Akkadians, then the Babylonians. The rivers changed course, the soil turned salty, temples crumbled. And yet the world they built lived on. Their language was adopted, their myths rewritten, their gods renamed. But Sumer itself was forgotten. For thousands of years, no one remembered the Sumerians existed. It wasn't until the 1800s that archaeologists began unearthing broken tablets from beneath the sands of Iraq. What they found was staggering: tens of thousands of records, stories, hymns, and maps. And among them, a tale. An epic older than the Bible, older than Homer. The Epic of Gilgamesh. A story of kings, monsters, a great flood, and the desperate search for immortality. Sound familiar?
Today, most people have never heard of Sumer, Yet every second we count, every law we obey, every story we cherish has a root reaching back to them. Their shadow still stretches across history. They gave us writing, astronomy, mathematics, and myth. But the greatest mystery is not what they built, it's why they began at all. Why did this explosion of intelligence and order suddenly emerge in Mesopotamia with no clear predecessor? Were they truly the first, or inheritors of something even older? Something lost in an earlier cycle of humanity? These are the questions their ruins whisper as wind sweeps through broken ziggurats and forgotten temples. In the end, perhaps Sumer is not gone. It lives in the fragments of language, in the shape of our cities, in the silent spaces between stars, all waiting for someone to listen.